think just I'm looking at our facilitators. There's Fred. Here we've got Jamie. I see Jamie. Where's Valerie? There's Valerie. Okay, I see the three of you. Wonderful. Here's good. So I'm looking to our panelists. Are you ready to go? Okay, thumbs up from Fred. So that's sending us on our way. Welcome everyone to our panel discussion today, talking about community of care. And there's a couple of different directions we could go with this conversation. And I think we'll take the approach today to work with an awesome panel, an amazing panel of presenters, and ask them a few questions, and then leave space for any comments or any ideas or stories or questions you might have, anybody else who's participating. So I'll kick things off. If that's okay with the panel. My name is Pam Shaw. I'm here right now on the unceded territory of Snuneymuxw First Nation over on the coast of Vancouver Island, and it's a beautiful day here. The leaves are turning a little bit, so lots of bright green you can see outside, and then lots of color that's happening as well. So I'm glad to be here. I'm the director of the Master of Community Planning School at Vancouver Island University. I've been a planner for about 35 years, so this has been my whole life. And for people that are doing the math, yeah, you're right. I started when I was 4 years old. That's right, if you're adding something on to 35 to see where you might end up for it. I'm delighted to be working with our panel today. I think this is going to be a really interesting discussion, and we'll see what direction the rabbit trails take us for it. Maybe I'll turn it over to our panel to introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with a few questions. And so over to Valerie. Valerie on mute.
Hi.
There we go.
I've had a mouthful of coffee, so good morning, everyone. My name is Valerie O'Connell. I actually belong to Let'Sumasiu Beaver Clan at Nak'adsleewah-10 and Fort St. James, but I live and work in Stalo territory with Squaw First Nation. I'm the CCP navigator and became the emergency program coordinator in 2018. And it's really nice to see everybody again. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Over to Jamie.
Hey, my name is Jamie Pond. I'm the senior project manager for my business Raven Wing Projects out of Clemtu, BC. I am the capital and special projects manager for the Kitasoo Nation, and I've been a community member here for the past 11 years. My background is mixed and includes First Nations from both East and West Coast.
Thank you very much, Jamie, and to Fred.
Chief Fred Robbins from the Skidum, the people of the White Earth. I've been the chief now on and off for the past 12, 15 years. I've been on council for about 8 years. I really get the sense that I was molded in this position from our elders. So that's it. With that, I'll hand it back to you.
And thank you to the panel for stepping up today and being available to share and tell about your stories and what's been happening. So talk to the organizers a bit about this as well, and knowing that it's the CCP workshop, of course, but when we're talking about community of care, maybe one place to start is the pandemic and what's been happening since, I think for most of us, maybe some people cottoned onto it early. For me, it was kind of beginning of March, and all of a sudden everything just started to happen. So I was up at a NALMA workshop up in Whitehorse on, it was March 10th, and came back, and then they closed VIU the next day for it. So it was really the first time I went, what is, there is something bigger happening. And so I'm wondering to our panel members, from that community of care perspective, what's been happening in your community for the last, I guess we're edging on seven and a half months of things happening. So what happened in your community? What was the approach? Was there any actions taken that you wanted to share from that community of care place? So
Good morning
yeah,
again.
this is Valerie. How about over to Valerie?
Sure. Good morning. I just realized this morning that I'm physically exhausted, so I'll just go back just a tiny bit. In 2018, we were caught in the middle of freshet, which is flooding, unprepared, an emergency plan partially finished, no one on staff or council that really knew anything about it. So when they turned to me and my background, they asked me to take on the emergency plan. So I spent a year working on it, completed it in September, October of last year, tried to bring it before council repeatedly, and it just always got moved to the next meeting. During that year and a half, chose another staff member, community member to start attending emergency management training with me, and started capacity building him. And we were finally, of course, the pandemic hit March 17th. We closed our offices on the 16th. They asked me to open the EOC on March 17th, and I've been in it ever since. I think our approach quite simply was to ensure, number one, the safety of our staff. So BSEM's rules, number one, are the staff. So we went to essential workers immediately and locked down the office. We opened the EOC and became like a clearinghouse. And when I refer to the EOC, you have to know that physically it's just 2 people, and then a supporting team of the essential workers in office. So there was about 7 of us that did the lion's share of the work, and immediately started to participate in coordination calls with the province through Emergency Management BC, First Nations Health Authority, and all the subject matter experts that were part of that conversation. And the first couple of days, I have to be really honest, we were really scared. And we had a moment on the Friday where we actually sat down and had a bit of a cry about it, because it was frightening everyone. And it was kind of scary to watch Chilliwack go from this busy little city to skeleton like after a few days. But we brought the emergency plan back in front of council on the 21st, and they signed it to end the BCR and allowed us to enter into a state of emergency. We then started to take a look at how we could help the community navigate through this pandemic. And it became apparent right away that we needed to connect with them quickly. So we decided to do a daily video utilizing my coworker who's a band member. And he went online every single day to the community webpage and told them what we were doing and why. And we did it at the same time every day, so that there was consistency in the message, and that everyone in the community knew that he would be online at that time every single day. And we were working pretty much 7 days a week for the first three months. And we started to utilize the talents of our wellness worker, who, I swear to God, I've told everybody that cares to listen, she's just an angel walking around on the planet. Our wellness worker, our community health nurse, our social development worker, our director of operations, and our finance manager. And we started to have daily tabletop meetings where it was just a quick discussion about what we needed to address. We delivered our help okay signs to every household and encouraged them to utilize them, so that We knew when there was a need, and my coworker Ron, on his way to work every morning, would do a complete circuit of the community to look at all the windows. And if anyone was displaying a red help sign, he immediately called them to determine what it was that they needed. We started to prepare food hampers right away because we recognized that we had a need for containing the community, trying to encourage them to stay home as much as possible. And we started putting together food hampers. We did a hot lunch every Friday, and people could drive through past the community hall and just step up to the window, and they'd be handed a hot meal. And of course, we participated in the coordination calls every day, and started to take a finer look at, how best could we help the community and ensure that they were kept safe. At one point, we had no choice but to lock down the community and prevent people from coming in, because one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we have an active drug trade in the community. So we have drug dealers coming in on a regular basis, and we definitely interrupted that drug trade. The community felt safer. We also discovered that one of our community members, who is a CP holder, had allowed some people to park their trailers and tents on his property, and essentially was like a little homeless camp. And we decided that it made no sense to escort them off the property. It was his decision, but we decided to provide supports to them as well, because we normally run a community soup kitchen. So a community member that was homeless and staying there became our go-between, and he would arrive every day and pick up a box of food for that group. I'm trying to think of all the other stuff we did. We eventually recognized that at some point we had to reopen, so the director asked me to sit down and prepare a return to work action plan with COVID-19 protocols. So I wrote that policy. It took several weeks to fine tune it, but then it allowed us to reopen on June the 1st. Essential workers predominantly, but we encouraged other staff, if they felt comfortable, to come back. If they chose to work at home, we gave them supports to allow that to happen. We moved our EOC from the administration building, which was on the second floor, down to the new community hall boardroom, which allowed us easy access to the membership if they could walk in off the street, or we could go outside under the portico and talk to them at a safe distance. And it allowed them to see that we were actually there, and if they needed anything, they could call us. I'm trying to remember the whole last 7 months, but it's really mind-boggling to know that we're going on 8 months now, and the second wave has happened. During all of that, we recognized in the first week or two that we also had to still deal with freshet this year. So we joined forces with our neighboring community, Shwai Village, in the city of Chilliwack, and we built a 1.2 kilometer berm between the two communities to deal with the potential for flooding. And thankfully the water got really close to the top, but it never breached it. So we felt that we dodged a bullet this year. And we had to run that in tandem with dealing with COVID. We have a very small staff, and some of the challenges that we've had to navigate in the last few months has been that the community was actually due for an election in April. And with legislation being passed, they were able to lengthen their their leadership for a few more months, but they've had to do that a couple of times. And now they've decided to move forward with the actual nominations and elections on November 2nd and 23rd. And we've decided to go virtual with that. So a lot of members will be able to vote online. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. And we've gone through internal changes as well. We've lost a couple of key staff who've decided to move on to bigger, better things. So we're just currently adjusting to that change because they were two really key positions. And we've decided to move ahead with the development of an emergency family guide, if you will, which is just a huge pamphlet. And in that pamphlet, we're telling the community about what to do during flood, during earthquake. And we've just recently added a panel about COVID-19 because we want to continue to shore up those things that we've been taught for the last 7 months, which is wash your hands, stay home, social distancing, etc. And we got online with Prepared BC, and we were able to acquire pamphlets about flooding, about earthquake, about pandemics, about creating a family emergency kit. And we'll be putting those in a package with our family guide and putting it out to the community. Each household will get a package. In addition to that, we've decided that it was really important for us to update our database and have the community identify who was in their home. I think the last thing I'll touch on is we did have incidences of COVID-19, which rocked us sideways because we had spent so many months planning and protecting the community that we only once ever touched on the topic of what if it comes here? Well, it came, and fortunately for SQUA, it was maintained to one family. So we had 5 cases, and with the help of Fraser Health, we were able to do contact tracing really quickly. We then arranged for a satellite testing station to come to the new community hall. So we had a group of 4 nurses come in one evening, and we tested all 24 people that were in contact with that family. That family was quarantined for 2 weeks. We provided supports to that family during that time. We had to separate them. Some of them had to go to a hotel, and we just provided supports throughout the entire time, and they successfully passed quarantine on Thanksgiving. And the 24 people that we tested negative. So we couldn't have asked for a better outcome for the community, but it taught us a lot about what we need to do in the future with respect to care of the community, is to plan for that eventual potential of something like that coming to the community again. And I hope I've been able to lend something to this conversation, and I appreciate your time, Masi.
Thank you, Valerie. The very comprehensive approach and so many good ideas that you've brought forward. I'm just going to step to the side for a second. Oh, Kira's left us a reminder over in the chat as well. So that's the link if people are interested, if they would like to have live captioning. So thank you very much, Kira, for Kira's a student at Vancouver Island University. Thanks for doing your an awesome job every single day. Kira just won a great big scholarship too, everybody. So good for Kira. Okay, I'm going to turn the panel over. There's Jamie, because everyone moved around. There's Jamie, over to you. And so, same question, what's been happening in your community from that community of care perspective?
Okay, well, COVID is certainly unprecedented since the 1918 pandemic, Spanish flu. Kirisu Keke experienced, a lot of grief from that Spanish flu. People were being buried on top of each other. So we took this opportunity to be strong and we locked down our community. So in March, our community implemented an EOC in which they named me as the chair. And I just feel emotional after that last. Okay.
Yeah,
And
you
so
take your time, Jamie, no worries. And yeah.
our EOC is functioning well. We have meetings and adaptive actions with leadership, membership, and EOC all working closely together. And we've locked down our community to outsiders. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. Whew.
If you want to, Jamie, if you want us to pop over and have Fred go for a bit, or take, we're all here for you too. So whatever
Hey.
works for you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, let's go.
Okay.
Once we got our EOC functioning regularly, we were able to lock down our community and put in protocols for outsiders to come in to keep everybody safe, and which allowed us to have our elders doing social activities together. They've been out on the boats on the territory, and our youth are able to go and play basketball and do their thing. The EOC has actually been quite, well, I guess we've been opportunistic. We use the EOC minutes and notes to create our emergency planning. We thought we had an emergency planning protocol, but when we opened it up, it was useless because it was based on a pandemic that had a vaccine. And so we've used the EOC to do an emergency planning on the fly. And so we focus it around health, finance, leadership, food security, our projects, clean energy, and other areas. For health, we've included options to attend virtual counseling. That was really helpful. We've had the Bear Healing Group come into the community using the COVID safety protocols for members to attend to have cultural mental wellness and involvement. Our leadership has been using Zoom and Facebook Live to do community meetings, including governance planning, CCP planning, EOC input, project progress, and leadership updates. In our food security, we've implemented online ordering of groceries and delivery to homes. We have community gardens, which flourished quite well this year. And we give out monthly grocery gift certificates. For projects progress, we constructed a temporary camp outside the community with a kitchen and mess trailer with bunkhouse style rooms for workers. And with all these protocols in place, we've managed to keep everything kind of moving normally for us. As an island, we have a lot of control over who comes and goes. We've got security monitoring boats coming and going, ferries coming in, planes coming in. Our community implemented and completed the majority of our 2015 CCP. And so currently we're updating our new CCP to cover the range from 2020 to prospectively 2025. Although we won't be finished our new CCP till the end of March, at this point we've identified a few practical items. Because I'm a project manager, my focus at this point was to put the physical things in place, and we are implementing some Survey Monkeys and community feedback through our Zoom Facebook meetings to get ideas for our governance updates, for policy, bylaw creations, and those sorts of things. But in the short term, we've got our hydro modernization project on the go. That'll be completed by next year. That was something left over from our past CCP that took 5 years of painful proposal writing and lobbying and opportunistic meetings in public venues, and we finally succeeded in pulling together the $10 million that it cost to update our hydro. We don't have BC Hydro, so our goal is always to be independent and self-sufficient, and so that was a key area for us to work with. For midterm goals, we're working on our wastewater to put in a treatment plant. Right now we use septic tanks and outfalls. We are designing and getting ready to break ground on our community hall. And we are working on major housing renovations. That's never easy. We've got 5 houses being renovated under an insurance claim from minus 20 degrees last winter, which is unseasonal for us. So that really brought climate change to the forefront for us. We have 5 houses that we succeeded in getting funding from CMHC, and those are underway. And then we've got another 18 houses needing major renovations that we are making application to NAWS with. And because of COVID, we can't easily get someone in to do mold validation. So I got a Zoom meeting together with FNHA, ISC, all the major players, Environmental Canada, and put forward a rationale to have FNHA accept virtual proof of mold and to have them validate remotely. So that's underway right now, and that's what's going into our NAWS application. And for long-term goals, we are working on our new subdivision, which will include 20 new houses. We'll probably phase it in 2 sections. That will include a new road, all the services and all those kinds of things. And for the second piece of our long-term vision is our reconciliation negotiations. We were in treaty at one point. We made it to level 4, I believe. And we took it to the community, and because we did not believe that we could project our needs for our future generations, we shelved the treaty and process and opted in for a reconciliation negotiation that we can implement piece by piece, which seemed to make more sense to us. Currently, we are focusing on governance and wellness. So governance, because you need strong leadership in order to move forward in a productive way and to be self-sufficient and self-sustainable. and wellness, because even though we're a remote community, we have economic success. And what we realized is our people have economic well-being, but not health well-being. So, and that's mental health, physical health, addictions, those sorts of things. So that's part of our reconciliation negotiation, to work from, the building blocks from the ground up, and, getting people healthy and then moving forward.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for sharing. And I hope you noticed all the digital hugs over on the side in the chat for you. And Jeannie's comment about, this is tough on everybody. And you are community planners and the people working in wellness and emergency planning. You're right on the front edge of all this. And so, I think it hits us at different times. You just kind of go, this is, I'm not too proud to share. I was on a Zoom about something a couple of days ago and had to turn my camera off and just sat there and let, tears go for a little bit, because I thought this is just about enough. So thank you. We all just send you a giant hug up there, Jamie. Over to Fred. Same question to Fred, and just I'll turn the floor over to you.
Well, a lot of it was said already. I think the one of the biggest pieces, once we activated our EOC, which is our Emergency Operations Center, we had to pull in chief and council. We had regularly scheduled meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. We had check-ins with our health staff. We had 4 nurses running 24/7. We went in complete lockdown because we had a funeral in the community, and when we had the funeral in the community, the individual that passed away was in Vancouver General Hospital when he passed. So once we got him home, that's when it was announced that all right, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Horgan got online, Dr. Henry. So we went into emergency chief and council meeting, made a few phone calls, find out what was going on. With my council, we all agreed that we're going to lock down immediately. We gave the community a 24-hour notice so that if they needed anything, that they can leave the community. Eskedum is a rural community. We aren't, we do have a store, we do have a gas station, but the majority of our supplies and materials come from the city of Williams Lake, which is located about 45 minutes northeast of where we are. So what we found is we gave the community 24-hour notice via our website and knocking on doors. I actually rode around in the fire truck announcing this in the community. And after 24 hours, we had set up a lockdown procedure with security at 2 locations, one on the main road and one at a separate IR junction. And with security, nobody was leaving. My community could not leave their homes. We did have a few people driving around in the community, but those were necessary. They had to go and see a nurse. After about a week, I was the only one that was issuing passes to leave the community, and they had to be back at a certain time. If they weren't, then they were locked out of the community. For the most part, people, I only had to sign maybe 3 or 4. We then notified all of the people that come into the community for septic services, water, whatever it is. We informed them that we were on lockdown, that we would be needing their services unless it was a complete emergency. So they were all locked out. So that included BC Hydro and all of the other services. So from there we moved into okay, you're going to be at home for at least the next 14 days after the first 3 or 4 days, we started planning on food boxes for the community. So we started developing, and we started using and utilizing um, a different group. I think they were from actually from Alberta. So they trucked the food and supplies here because, as you're all aware, when the pandemic hit, there was no tissue on any of the, not just tissue, there was no rice, there was no potatoes. A lot of the necessities that you need in your home were all gone. Then we notified the First Nations Health Authority that we needed PPE for our security systems, for our health staff. We also helped our officer membership because once they found out that we were in lockdown and handing out food boxes, they said that they wanted something to help them. So we gave them, all of our officer reserve would then participate in a small survey on our website. And on that small survey, they had to provide information about the community, who they're related to. And once they did that, and we did the research here, we found that they were part of the community, not just with status cards, but there's a lot of people out there that can go online and hack. So we requested a little more information, and those that passed the survey, we issued a $200 check to them out of our own source revenues to support them and their families. And we have 135 homes in the community here in Alkali, and each one of the community members, again, the same thing that was discussed earlier, we had to know how many people were in that home. So we did an inventory check, so that we had 3 different sizes of food boxes, small, medium, and large. So the larger food boxes went to families that had more than 6 people in the homes. And then the medium went from 3 to 6, and the small with only 1 or 2 individuals in the home. So that we were able to, and then Freshet hit. Once Freshet hit, we activated our EOC again, sat and met with ISK and the province and talked about what are we going to do if we do have a medical emergency on IR3, which is located away from IR1, where the majority of the community lives. And I went up, I took a drive, snapped pictures, took pictures, sent it all off. It took them probably about 4 to 6 weeks to actually say that, okay, we need to open these roads. Some of these roads were inaccessible. If we needed an ambulance to go in, there was no way they were going to make it out of there. And so we received some funding to upgrade our roads, which is finally complete. Hopefully it'll hold. I've been requesting that these roads be repaired for a number of years already. But after the Freshet was complete, we started looking at, okay, we're coming into phase 2 now. What are we going to do if we do have a case? Knock on wood, we haven't had a case here in the community. We've had a few scares, but not an actual case of COVID. But we're ready and prepared to activate our EOC once again. We're one of 11 communities that issued a strategic plan for Emergency Services Canada. We are one of 11 bands in BC that submitted our big binder full of information about, okay, if it's a pandemic, if it's fires, if it's floods, these are steps that we're taking. And we have a list of who the contact info, and it was all sent out to the community members so that everyone's aware in the community. We did have one band meeting, and it was again on our Facebook page, and it was live streamed, so people that couldn't attend the meeting or were afraid to come join a large group, and there wasn't really that many people in the gymnasium. There's only 11 people, but we had capacity of 50, but only 11 showed up. And what we found was a lot of people were live streaming. They were asking questions from their homes, which to me, it makes me really proud of this community that when I say stay home, they stay home. And I think that's a really valuable, that the community has the faith and the trust in the leadership that we're going to take care of them. So that went a long way. And now that we're moving into phase 2, we've already done a lot of the work. It's just a matter of activating it again. If we were to go into lockdown, we have the capabilities here in the community to access, and for the most part, we have many different departments that are willing to participate and engage in different areas and support the community in the best way that they can. I think the real issue that we had in our community was during the pandemic was we had 5 people pass away. And it's really difficult for a community such as ours that follow culture and tradition when it comes to funeral services. The whole community pulls together and provides food and supports the family in a way that I don't see in other communities when they have a funeral service. And it was difficult because the people that passed away were quite young, and one of them was actually a war veteran that was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's still unclear. They're still in investigation, but there's still a lot of young people that really wanted to participate and engage in that funeral service here in the community because they grew up together, and he was 23 years old. And at the time, as a chief, I went and I met with the family, and I discussed the family. Okay, we're still under quarantine here. I understand this young man and how valuable he was to the community. So I had that hard discussion with the family that if you're going to have a service, I want to make sure that it's just family. And then I went and the family agreed. I had 2 nurses. Any guests that were coming into the community, the 2 nurses were doing a temperature check and a small questionnaire. Have you left the country? Where did you go? What? So that we were aware of who was in the community. If they were going to access our store, use our gas station, they'd have to mask and glove up before touching anything. So these are some of the conditions that the family had agreed to with people coming to the service. And they had the service outside their home. It was different service, but the families and the support of the community basically circled the household. And it was really different, where we couldn't have people coming in and hugging the family members. The service was at a distance. Soon after the service, they brought him straight to the gravesite and put him beside his grandfather. So there was lots of difficult situations during the pandemic that you really need a strong community, and you need community support to make quarantine possible. And I'm just glad that the community rallied behind me and supported the work that I was doing to protect our elders, to protect the next generation. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Fred. And so I saw they just sent us a note that we've got about 9 minutes left. I had a list of way too many questions for the panelists. I think we'll just have to stay together for a couple of days. I think that's if that works. No, I know we'll finish for 11:30, but 1 or 2 or 3 panelists, do you have any advice that you would give and say, you have, all 3 of you have very, very organized approaches, different, all sorts of things happening. You know, Jamie, you mentioned, you've used every single digital sharing media survey monkey platform out there over the last few months for it. So yeah, do you have any advice you'd give to communities that whoa, we could use some of that? Any tips or advice? How about do you want to, Valerie, back to you? Is that
I think one of the things that we dealt with, you know, off and on over the last 7 months is what Jamie was sharing earlier, is that you get tired. And I think one of the things that preyed on our minds was, you know, we were praying really hard that we were getting every decision we were making right, because we recognized the fact that we were making decisions for and about the community that would affect them, and not just a person or a couple of people, but the entire community. And I think it's just be kind to yourself, and take help whenever it's offered if you can. And it's okay, Jamie. I hold my hands up to you too, as well as Fred, because you're both working in remote communities and you've got different challenges that we don't, you know, because we have easy access to the city of Chilliwack. So I hold my hands up to you in the work that you've been doing. But just be kind to yourselves. And in case nobody said it lately, thank you for the work that you do. I don't think we hear that enough, because I'm a strong believer in that the Creator puts us where we need to be, and He's put you exactly where you need to be. So I hold my hands up to all of you and the work that you're doing. Just keep supporting one another. Mercy.
Okay, to Jamie.
Well, my advice would be stay adaptable and always focus on the greater good. Simple.
Nice. And to Fred.
Well, yeah, I agree. You have to be adaptable, but you also have to plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah.
A lot of these comprehensive plans that we talk about, we tend to forget about pandemics. We kind of look for the brighter future, and it's a struggle sometimes when you don't reach that brighter future, and you all of a sudden you get slammed back to the ground, and it's reality. And so it's just preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Valerie, just a shout out to you, Valerie. My grandfather is Howard Paul. He's from your community. I have relatives down there, you know, and I just want to say hello to everyone down there, and I wish everybody the very best. But in closing, I think it really goes to show that communities need to plan. They need to plan, and if they need help planning, you know, we can share some of our information if need be. It's just a simple phone call or an email to me, and then I can have our EOC director give you a call. I oversee the director, but they're the ones that are actually doing all the chaos of running around, and they inform me on what it is that we need. So I'm a pretty big advocate, but when need be, I do put boots on the ground and get my hands dirty for the community. And I think that says a lot when the community members see you out there getting your hands dirty and getting your feet wet. It just goes to show that you care enough about them. So thank you.
In the couple of minutes we have left, I just want to say thank you to the panelists for all that you're doing, for great ideas that you've offered, and just really appreciate your comments around to think about yourselves sometimes too, and to take care of yourselves, and to everybody that's in this room. I think community planning or people that are working with their communities tend to be the people that care a lot. Obviously, you made the commitment to be at this workshop. The work that you're doing in your community. I mean, people that are, just so full of care for their community, and being put in situations that, maybe it's not the academic word to use, but that just suck. Right? This is you try to find, Fred saying, where's the bright light, and go, this is chaos. This is nuts that's going on, but just what amazing things you've done and made things happen and made things better in your community. So just thank you for.
Oh, Pam,
Yeah.
Just one more thing. Just one more thing there, Pam. What I noticed too in the community is there was a lot of these small community conflicts that were happening, and we noticed those conflicts dissipated during the pandemic. They all realized that, my God, we're here. This is real. This is actually happening. And a lot of those community conflicts that happened, they kind of got brushed aside for the protection of the whole community, which is great.
Okay. Yeah, I really encourage the panelists to take a look at the comments in the chat as well, because boy, there's a nice outpouring of warmth. I don't know if you can feel it from however far away you are for it. So to everyone that's here today, thanks. Thank you very much for being here. All the millions of things that had to happen over years and years and years to get us all here today to be in this space all together is pretty amazing. But everything pulls us together for reasons, I think. And so I'm grateful that I could be here today to meet you all. Nice to see familiar faces, Michelle and Tennille. I see you out there, and I look forward to what's going to happen next. So it looks like we're heading back into the closing session for it. And I understand there's prize draws. So
Getting kicked
that's
out.
pretty scary. Yeah, I'm happy for that for prize draws. So thanks everyone on here. I think they'll click us back through shortly.
Thank you, Pam, for getting us started.
I just want to say thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you.